So how you been doing, man? You okay?
Yeah, I've been pretty good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. I wanted to sort of start this podcast series because I want people to know more about the behind the scenes of these teams, what happens, sort of how players react to the community, because I know it's not really broadcasted that much. Journalists can only do so much, and sometimes we're not allowed to talk about some things, or some of these things just don't really come out to the public. And I wanted to sort of us to sort of have this chat and sort of go about talking about these things and getting your opinions. So I wanted to start with the first topic, being quite a few players have, Floppy, for example, as the most recent, have experienced a lot of hate, like a lot of hateful messages. And I think it's very common in esports. I'm sure you can probably agree with that. So when we get these sort of hateful messages, because I get some as well, but obviously I'm pretty sure you are probably on the receiving end of quite a few of them. How do you sort of go about dealing with these? Do you think they're like really common enough, or do they affect you in any way?
I think personally not really, but I think like towards the beginning of my career, it definitely gets you a little bit, because I think like first when you become a pro, I think you kind of suffer from imposter syndrome. And then I think like all of these people like being negative towards you like really makes you doubt it. But I think like the more established you become, the more like you just don't listen, because like why does it matter what these people think? Like when you're more established. But I do think I can understand how it like obviously I think it could affect Floppy a lot, because he just switched to a new game. He obviously wasn't like a big fan of the game. He just posted a tweet longer about it, right? Like he's dealing with like mental health stuff. He also just doesn't like the game. So it's like when you're getting all these hateful messages, it'll make it even worse. And then it's like a snowball effect where you just don't feel good about anything, like your game, your life, anything about that. And I think it's a lot easier to deal with when you're established, but when you're not so sure about what you're doing, it's definitely could be a lot more impactful on someone's like well-being.
Did you personally get affected by any of this? Perhaps at the start of your Valorant career, because obviously, I think you didn't come in.
Not in Valorant, no.
Yeah, no, okay. I was going to say you did come in.
Pretty late.
You didn't come right at the start, did you? So
no, I switched in January, so before VCT1 or whatever. When this year,
it was like after First Strike or something. I can't really remember.
I switched in January. So whenever that was.
Yeah. And I think one thing that a lot of people are curious about is when it comes to, obviously, because you were a previous CS player, like quite a few of your teammates, it's pretty common for CS players, especially in North America now, to switch. But how would you sort of compare the community and how they react to players and how they sort of communicate with players? How would you compare the Valorant community to like the CS community?
I'd say on average, I feel like the Valorant community is more welcoming. Like on average, I definitely think but I think it's also a lot bigger. So I think you're gonna notice there's a lot more people that are like toxic, but I don't think it's like, obviously you're never gonna be able to get like a percentage of it, right? But I feel like I interact with more like average, like nice people than I do people that are like hateful and like toxic and all of that. But I also think it's just a lot bigger, like North American Valorant versus North American Counter-Strike. So it's like, I think you're obviously, just because there's more people, you're going to experience more hate and you're going to experience more like appreciation. And I think I like Valorant community a lot more, obviously, but I don't know. I could see it going both ways.
Yeah. Do you think this is a lot more healthy for the scene? Because I think in CS there was like this sort of overarching feeling of like what's going to happen. North American CS, as we know it, was kind of declining. Quite a few teams were leaving. Pros were leaving as well.
I knew NACS was dead in like March last year. As soon as COVID hit, this game was dead.
Yeah,
like completely. This game was 100. Like on top of ESL just ripping away teams' pro league spots in like January or whatever, and then COVID hits and everything turns online. The game is dead. There's no recovering. I don't think. And there's been like writing on the walls forever. We didn't switch initially on Chaos because we were still paid. We had like the organization would have let us go if we wanted to transition, but none of us really we wanted to stay in Counter-Strike and finish out like the year. And I think we're all pretty happy that we did. But yeah, I think anyone still playing CS that isn't on like a Liquid or an EG, I guess Extra Salt too, but you're just, yeah.
Just wasting your time, I guess.
I don't know. You're like grasping onto nothing unless you're just hoping you can get on Liquid or EG, but that's such a stretch unless you're on Extra Salt. Like, literally.
Do you think you could have entered Valorant with Chaos?
Yeah, we tried to.
Oh, really? How did that discussion go down?
We were talking to version 1, and then Leaf got offered by Cloud9.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. So it wasn't really like a thing that was actually going to happen. It was just sort of some things didn't really fall into place.
No, Leaf just got offered too fast by Cloud9.
Yeah, that's understandable. I did want to ask you sort of regarding your first entry into the game. Obviously, you joined V1. You played quite well. You had some solid performances, and you obviously placed quite highly to qualify for Masters. But after Masters, I think there was sort of this weird sort of stage where you guys weren't really playing at the same level. And I'm not sure if you would agree with that. But yeah, obviously, I mean that does. Yeah,
I think replacing Whippy was a lot different than replacing Zelsis.
Yeah,
in like a team chemistry point of view. I think like they were both pretty impactful. Like I think all of our players were relatively like equal on the impact, like performance wise, but like motivation and like gameplay, me and Jordan were definitely by far the two most impactful. And then losing like the other half made it a lot harder.
Yeah. Do you think stand-ins sort of had a really big impact on like your team's growth and how well you were playing?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, I don't think like stand-ins were like they're not the reason I left, I guess, is what I should say.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to leave after Iceland.
Okay.
Anyways.
Why was that?
I want to play with Leaf and Zeppa. That's it. Like literally.
You don't want to play with us?
I told my teammates in like before we even qualified in like March, like if I can play with Leaf and Zeppa, I'm gonna try to leave.
Oh right, okay. So if that opportunity was,
I told my coach that. I think I don't remember. No, I think I told my teammates too.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I think
this is where I want to be. Like, I like playing with those guys too, but it's like I don't know. We were so like we never got to see how good we could be because we never got to play internationally, but we were just like stomping domestic competition, so it was like kind of disappointing to end the way it did.
I mean, so obviously you obviously want to play with your former Chaos teammates. You know, it's pretty standard. You said that these discussions were happening after Masters. Is that correct?
Reykjavik, yeah.
Yeah. Did you like ever message them before, or speak to anyone on the team? And was this always sort of in the back of your mind?
On Cloud9?
Yeah.
They messaged me.
Oh right, okay, fair enough. I think like when we
I got messaged by a few teams after Iceland actually.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring this up because quite a few.
Me, Jordan, and Penny all got a lot of offers after Iceland.
Yeah, I was aware of some of them. Like quite a few top teams wanted you guys. And,
oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
two of the teams are at.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Envy was one of them. So you know what I mean? Like you guys had some serious talent, and you had some massive organizations in for you guys. And it was quite shocking when I first heard that you were going to go, you were going to leave V1 or be placed on the bench just temporarily, before you actually left the team. And it was actually it was really shocking to me because I thought, you had the LCQ spot. You could have stayed with the team just till the end of the year. Why did you decide to sort of go against that?
Every player we tried to get wouldn't want to leave their team. So that's like the scene that's like the state of the scene right now. It's like organizations don't want to sell people. Players don't want to leave because they're happy they're getting paid and they're like afraid to take risks essentially. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. I also think a lot of people are like unsure of their I don't know the way to word it, value, worth, I guess. But it's like they're not sure if they'll get another contract even though they're getting offered from another team. So it doesn't really, it's very odd.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting you mentioned that because quite a few players. Well, I mean, some of the players that I speak to, and I'm probably the same with you. Some of them, when I speak to them, actually have quite low self-esteem when it comes to their own performances.
No, yeah, for sure. I can agree. I do think a lot of I think a lot of the pros in Valorant at the current moment are facing the same things that I faced when I first was a pro in Counter-Strike. You don't think you're good enough. and none of them have done anything to like feel like they're good enough, right? Like they just bomb out in qualifiers. Like they're obviously like they're good players, but like until you actually like make an event, you go to like a LAN or something, you just don't feel like you belong there, I guess, a lot of the time. At least that's how it was with me. Like I didn't really feel like I belonged as like a pro until we qualified for IEM Sydney and whenever that was. I don't remember. Early 2019.
Yeah, it was years ago.
It just like, yeah, it didn't feel like, I don't know, like it's just imposter syndrome. I think everyone deals with it. Like, I think it comes back and goes, but I think a lot of it comes like to being established in the scene, and I think that a lot of these people aren't established, so they're not completely sure of how like valuable they are.
I think another topic that obviously I want to mention, because you've just sort of kind of brought it up there. I posted a tweet as well about this sort of regarding players sort of creating more content and building a brand, and sort of becoming more of a personality rather than just becoming a pro. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think players should sort of create more content? You for example are one of the players that stream very often. You are a personality within the scene, and there are quite a few others. Especially from like EU. You got Mixwell, Tens. I think even Curry and Zekken are both doing it now. So, do you think more professional players should go down that route?
Yeah, I definitely think it doesn't hurt, and it also like provides longevity to your career. Like even past like just being a pro, like you could always like, some people will be able to just stream after they're done competing professionally, but if you don't take advantage of your fan base, like the support while you have it and like build upon it, if you just try to do it after you're like retired or you can't get a team, it doesn't work for most people. Like that's why I kind of, I don't know, put priority into streaming. Like I don't put priority, I guess, but like I wake up early so I can stream. And I think that a lot of people are more so worried about like, I don't know. I don't even know. It's because like maybe they just don't like the game. I could see that being it. Like I like this game a lot. That's why I play like 12 hours a day. But I could also think like understand some of it. Like they just don't like the game. So then why would they put in extra time outside of practice?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely do think people don't put enough personal time into their brand, because I personally don't think it's very hard to just turn your stream on. Like you don't even have to talk to your chat. Like you should definitely, but you could honestly just turn your stream on. Like if you're on like a top level team, turn your stream on, don't talk to chat, and you'll reap the benefits.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, do you think there are players that just sort of don't enjoy the game, and maybe they came from CS or?
No, there's a lot of those.
Yeah, would it be sort of a big surprise for you to tell me right now that quite a few players on tier 1 teams actually just don't enjoy the game?
I think they're fading out. I don't think there's that many left, but I do think there was a lot to start. But yeah.
So would you say a lot of people sort of preemptively made that switch, just presuming that they thought they would enjoy the game, when really it was sort of completely different to how CS was played, for example?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of them just never, like, a lot of them were on the end of their CS career, or they didn't even have a career in Counter-Strike anymore. So it's like, this was just like the only thing they could do, right? Like, unless you want to go, I mean, just exit esports essentially. Like, why not give it a chance? Like, see if you like the game. I mean, they didn't end up liking the game. It's like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I don't know, people aren't gonna like everything, and I think that's something that people struggle with. It's like, just because someone likes something doesn't mean that everyone has to like it, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I think that it was sort of like a big thing, right, when quite a few players were leaving, especially in Counter-Strike, North American Counter-Strike. When quite a few players were leaving, sort of everybody kind of jumped ship, except if you weren't on the Team Liquids or the EGs, for example. Everyone basically dipped. So I'm sure a few people probably just thought, well, if he's going, then I should go as well.
Yeah, that did happen towards. They weren't the initial players to switch, but like some of the players that switched like halfway through, like I don't even know, like during like a little before first strike in area, like that was part of the reason, is like they had no friends left in Counter-Strike, so like why would they keep playing, right?
Yeah. And I think
it makes sense. Like it completely makes sense. And also it's like, dude, like we were played Counter-Strike for like most of us for probably 12,000 hours.
Yeah.
Like the game just like I think Sick hit it pretty on the head when he released his twit longer when he switched. It's just like, dude, the game is just like it's stale. I think he like worded the best out of everyone. It's like he did everything he wanted to do, and he's just over the game. He's bored of it. He doesn't have as much enjoyment. Whereas I think like a lot of people like genuinely like. I know there's gonna be people that don't like it, but like Valorant is a lot of fun. Like the game changes. The community is pretty overwhelmingly supportive for the most part. I don't know. Riot cares, you know, like if there's like huge issues in the game, usually they get fixed. I mean, like the only like long-lasting like thing that's completely broken is like the classic, right?
Yeah.
So it's, like,
I mean, I
don't know. Just it's nice to feel. It's nice to feel like, you know, you're like listened to and you're not just like you're not just playing a game that someone created. It feels like you're like a part of the game, I guess.
Yeah. I think Riot tends to do that relatively well. I mean, for League, I think it's a bit different because of how big the game actually is. But I think for Valorant, there has been sort of this open level of communication, which I think is quite positive. You know, I mean, I've never spoke to anybody at Valve regarding basically anything Counter-Strike related, even though I've messaged them so many times, and you just get completely ignored, right? Like it just doesn't really matter who you are. You just either get nothing or you, on the off chance you get something, right? But in Valorant, if anyone's ever really had any issues or
one of the devs will like reply to your tweet or something.
Exactly. It seems like you're sort of more a part of it, like you said. So
but I think a lot of the I guess the pros probably don't have as much influence in League, but it's also they've been creating and developing MOBAs for what, like League's been out like 10 years, 11 years, something like that. So it's like they have a lot more experience. Where in like the FPS genre, this is their first game.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they have some previous Counter-Strike like map developers and stuff, but it's like they don't have a lot of people that were from like CS:GO and stuff like that. So it's like obviously they're gonna listen to the community at first. Like maybe down the road it won't be like the same level of receptiveness, but I mean, I would assume by the time we're at that point, they'll have a pretty good idea of like how the game should be like function mechanically.
I wanted to sort of ask you about this as well, because I think you just touched on it there regarding like the future of Valorant, right? And I think quite a lot of people, and we talk about like competitive Valorant here, so I think quite a lot of people have made a few suggestions. For example, they've suggested that if we get enough agents, there'll be like a pick ban system. I think that was one thing that people have said. Would you ever be up for that, or what's your take on it?
It shouldn't be picked. Like it shouldn't be the agents are exclusive to a team. No, that's really bad. I think. I think in an FPS, it's a lot worse than in a MOBA.
Okay, yeah. I mean, to be fair, there are like hundreds of champions in like MOBAs, right? So it's understandable, and it's like it's very different, right? The gameplay, you know.
I've never watched Rainbow Six, but I think you only ban agents and you can play them on both teams. Or I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah. I think in FPS it like, I don't know, it like limits like practice and stuff. Like I guess you can try to get good at. I guess it's the same way in League, right? But I think just thinking in FPS, it's like a lot worse to only have an agent on like one side. I don't know. Maybe it could work. It could work. Like maybe we're wrong, but I just think it'd be really weird, and you would need a lot more agents.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about some things that we could.
I think the banning could be a cool.
Yeah. I think
removing agents could be really nice, but I don't think making them just one side is very. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't
think it makes sense.
I think right now it's actually quite good. You know, I would say in terms of like doing like deep level analysis onto like why teams picked agents, I think it's like a bit redundant at this point, because basically there's just pretty much just set comps for like every map, so there isn't really that much variation. I think that is one thing that I was speaking to a few people about. You know, they were saying that not a lot of people actually care about the agents that are picked, unless it's something egregious like Jet isn't picked like at all by a team, or Sova isn't picked on certain maps, you know. And I think that would be cool if more analysis can be done on that front. So I did want to get your opinion on this, because a few people have spoke to me about the desk. And I'm not sure how much you've actually watched of the analyst segments at Berlin, for example, or Reykjavik. What do you think about the desk as a whole? Do you think their analysis is on point, or what would you say to that?
I don't know. I feel like most analysts are pretty stupid, to be honest, even in CS.
I actually kind of knew that you were going to say that. I'm not going to lie.
It's like, I don't know. I guess in Counter-Strike it was a little better, like not much, but at least like some of them were like former pros, so like they had like more insight. But like I feel like a lot of the people that are analysts right now just, I have no clue what comes out of their mouth most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. Like
I
it really
think I
doesn't
remember
make
you
sense.
making a tweet, right, where it was like,
No, yeah, this girl yesterday said like playing Astra is the only smokes on bind is weird. It's like what do you mean? Like
yeah.
what? Like Astra isn't good as the only smoke agent? Like
Yeah.
like I don't even understand like how you could come up with that. It's like I don't know. It's just odd.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a clue either, to be honest. I don't know how these people. I think it's like there's like a sort of a disconnect, right? Like these players, obviously I don't think to be an analyst, I don't think you sort of need to be like a Radiant Pro or something. Obviously, that would help a lot, but like at least have some form of like communication with professional players that you can garner that sort of information.
Yeah.
But when you're sort of just going off your own sort of knowledge, when clearly it's not enough,
it's odd to me. It's like one of the best analysts in CS. He never got much work. Was like Dust Moret, or I think Dust Moret. Like he would do like so much like research on the teams. Like he would have like their map pools. I'm not sure if it was like common amongst most analysts, but I don't think it was. I think he went pretty like above and beyond for that regard. Actually, I think he was a caster. I don't think he was an analyst, but he would have like map percentages. He would have like who they beat, when they beat them, like their win, like their attack side, like their T and CT side percentages. It's like I feel like that's what you should have when you're an analyst, and like actual like research and not just talking to talk so you sound smart.
Yeah.
It's like there was like an example. Like we were at Flashpoint. Mad Lions played against someone. Mad Lions permabanned Inferno the entire time. They've played Inferno once in the last like year, and Potter's like, yeah, it makes sense that Mad Lions gonna pick Inferno here. It's one of their best maps. It's like, dude, no, it's not. They've never played the map. They've played it once in the last 12 months. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like I just feel like they just talk to talk. It's like, dude, just like I don't know. I guess that's their job, right? But it's like surely you put like a little bit of effort in.
Yeah.
Like
Well, would you believe me if I told you that there were people at Reykjavik that actually said that they never watched any other region other than like the region that they were like casting in?
No, yeah, it makes sense.
It's actually outrageous. Like I think it's genuinely egregious.
It's really stupid.
Yeah, and I know when I was speaking to Dust, he actually said that he got just straight up denied to go to Berlin, or he wasn't even messaged. Right? Like I think that's a bit, that's a bit silly. But I think I wanted to sort of take the conversation a little bit back towards sort of Cloud9, and I think it's really important to question sort of why you joined the team, if there was any other reasons other than to rejoin your old Chaos folk, or was there like an incentive from the brand perspective or a business perspective? Was there any incentives like that when you were joining the team?
No, not really. I don't think. Like it was mostly just to play with the people I wanted to play with. Like I guess being on Cloud9 is nice because they're a really big brand in esports, right? But no, I don't think there was much other than wanting to play with the people I want to play with.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable, because I think another thing that a lot of people have spoke to me about, and I'm sure you're probably aware, is that like building like chemistry with teammates, some of which you've played with before, obviously, is like a really important thing. If you get like thrown into a team that you've never played with before, or you've never played with any of the players before, it can be a bit of a hindrance. And especially when you're like friends with these guys, that does help. But then on the flip side, there have been instances where supposedly people have only got in based on being friends with some players, rather than it being sort of a meritocracy. Would you agree that does happen?
Yeah, but I don't think it's like I don't think there's been any roster moves in Valorant that have been completely influenced by like them getting a spot over someone that deserves it more because they're friends. I think it's more so like people will pick up people they like. It depends on like the role you're picking up. I think a lot of the time, like if you're gonna pick up a duelist player, yeah, it might be good to take a risk. But I think when you're picking up like a more of a supportive agent, like Smokes, Sova, Sentinel, maybe not. There's also not a lot of Sentinel players in NA. But it's like when you're picking up like a Smokes player or like a Sova player, it's like you kind of want to know how that person is as like a teammate and like a player prior. You don't need to, obviously, but it's nice to know. Because you're like, yeah, this guy could have like 300 or 230 ACS on Sova. but he's just not a good Sova. He just fights to his death every round. It's like that's not what you want. Versus like someone that'll have like 190, like Effie's. I think Effie's is like the perfect example. Like Critical has like 230 ACS, and Effie's has like 190. I would take Effie's every single day of the week.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt in my mind. No, yeah, it's like these people look at like a lot of the community just looks at stats. It's like, dude, they don't play the agent to his like fullest ability. It's like if you look at like first kills, first deaths, like these people are just dead. Whereas like Effie's is last alive, using his recon, using his shocks, using his stuff for his teammates to like help them succeed rather than like putting himself in like positions to succeed. And I think that's undervalued. But like the average person isn't gonna notice that. So they're like, oh, why isn't this guy on like a tier 1 team? It's because like Critical is just an example. I really don't know if he's like, I haven't played against him enough, or I haven't played with him, but I know he just like takes aim duels on Sova. I don't think it's like the most optimal play style. There's a lot of Sovas like that. Like they play the agent pretty like aggressively when I think he's obviously like the best clutch agent in the game. One of them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty fucking broken, but
yeah, no, it's just like an example though, because I think there's a lot of Sova players that play pretty similar. Like they're just super aggro, where it's like, dude, like,
yeah,
you're not getting very much value for like how important this agent is. Like when you're just dead, like first or second in a round, it's like you haven't even used your drone and you're dead, like multiple times a half. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to play with you. So good luck.
I mean, you've just lost some like crucial util, right?
Yeah,
so...
you're losing like the best like literally the best ability in the game. Like
yeah.
I'd rather have a drone than smokes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's stupid. But yeah, I could totally see how that would like influence your decisions.
Yeah,
right?
or it's like picking up like another one would be like, I can't think of any Sentinel players, but like a Sentinel player that just pushes. Like you're playing Cypher Killjoy and you just push your spot every round. Like, oh, why would they pick up Whippy? This guy's never played Sentinel. It's because I know he's gonna sit there and he's gonna hold and do what we need him to do. It's like this. It's like the same thing. It's like you need people that are good at the role and not just good at killing. And I think that people might think, oh, they're only picking up their friends. It's like, no, I just know they can do what I want them to do. At least in my like in the roster changes I've made, that's like the reasoning. Maybe it's not the same for some teams. I really don't think there's very many nepotism moves within NA Valorant. At the start, I think there was, but I don't think towards the like the more the game develops, I don't think it's a thing because people want to be the best.
Yeah, I mean that's understandable. I think it's like it's really important, right? When you have that sort of chemistry and you know what they're gonna do, right? I think that's like a really big thing. Yeah. But I did sort of want to ask you about like Cloud9 as a whole. Obviously, we haven't really got to see. Are you a bit blurry there? You all right? Yeah, there we go. We haven't really got to see Cloud9 a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, didn't qualify for LCQ.
Yeah, we did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, we're like the 9th, 8th seed.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then. Because I swear I was like looking at it yesterday, and I saw like the top 7, and then when I see that, my brain skips to like, oh, I swear TSM's supposed to be there, but it's like
no, we're above TSM and Genji.
Oh right, okay, yeah. No,
we're
okay,
like
that
the
makes
7th
sense.
seed or something.
That makes sense. But obviously, I think V1 is like top 3, I believe. If like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
I have no clue. Probably they should be. They have a lot of
yeah,
points.
I think they are in like the top 3 seeded place anyway. But yeah, regardless. So about Cloud9, obviously we don't really see you guys very often. You know, there's not really many tournaments going on right now. Obviously, you know, if you didn't qualify for Berlin, you're basically just chilling for like another month.
Yeah.
So how has Cloud9 been playing recently? Obviously, I know scrims isn't really like a very good indication. But have you guys been getting shit on, or like what's been going on?
No, we're the best scrim team I've ever seen.
Okay.
Like no joke. Yeah, like no, like I think every team. I think we've beat every team we've scrimmed 20-4 at least once.
Really?
Like not multiple times. Yeah, every team, literally every team.
I mean, would you say it's actually like quite positive that you're on Cloud9 now? I mean, you seem to be like a lot better. I mean, you know, just personally, I think it seemed like a really good move. You know, when I heard of it. So
I'm on my camera.
No, it's good. I mean, it's just good to see you playing. With a team that you actually like, you know, are playing very well with. Because at the end, you version 1, it was sort of just it was declining, right? And I think you can agree with that. I think there was something there that was missing. But I don't know. You know, it's just a matter of opinion, really. What do you think V1 should do next? You know, with the loss of their in-game leader, what do you think happens next with this team? Now that you've left it, obviously I know you're still very close with some of the players on the team. What do you think happens next with V1?
I mean, they're picking up an IGL. You know,
Well,
I'm not gonna say who, but you know, everyone knows.
yeah,
I think it'll be good. I think maybe the players will work better with the way he calls. It's a little more interesting. Like, it's more in depth than what I do. Like, I kind of just like, we just play Valorant. We talk to each other. Like, we have stuff. Like, we have set stuff, but it's not like as in depth as what his teams usually are.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it could benefit some of the players on that team. I think, but I don't know. I think they'll be fine.
I mean, if it's not odorous, I look like a massive idiot right now. But you know, anyway, I think he's a sick player. By the way, I don't know about your personal opinions on him, but I think he's like been really underrated. Like, I think quite a few players like know he's good. But I mean,
he was horrible when he played Duelist. He's a lot better now.
Well, we don't really want to talk about that part of his.
He was
career,
absolutely horrible when he played Duelist.
Yeah,
but he's a lot better now. Yeah, I agree. I think like the Sentinel role fits him a lot more. Yeah, I think he's pretty good at it. I think even he would admit it though. It's like, I don't know. There's something about when he gets an op in his hand, he just likes to like push to his death. And I think when he's playing Sentinel, it's not as much. He's pretty good at lurking, and he seems to have like a pretty good idea of how he wants to IGL. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously Pioneers recently got rid of him, right? So we'll see where he ends up. By the time this goes out, I think this will go out like Monday, so I don't even know what's going on. If it comes out of the left field and he's joined a team that isn't V1, then I'm going to look like a right idiot, but you know. Anyway, so if we sort of go around talking about Cloud9 again, because I do want to mention one thing that I was a bit sort of confused at, because obviously Cloud9 still has 6 people under contract, right? Is that correct?
With, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because you know you got like Poise, Mitch, and you know all the other guys, right? And we were sort of wondering like, oh, who are you going to replace on the team? Because you know no one was being benched at the time, and everyone was wondering, is it going to be like Poise? Is it going to be Mitch? Is it going to be is it like whoever? You know.
I saw people saying we were gonna bench Zeppa. It's like, yeah, man.
Honestly, when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, do you not understand what is happening here? It's so annoying.
In my video, I literally said I joined this team to play with Leaf and Zeppa. Yeah, we're gonna bench him, guys.
It's like, I joined to play with Leaf and Zeppa, but I'm sorry, guys, I'm benching Zeppa. No, it's like, it's actually so dumb. But yeah, so tell me sort of more about the roles, because I know, obviously, like Zeppa was like on Duelist, and then Poise was Duelist, and then Leaf is like, I think I don't know what's going on. Talk to me.
No,
about
I think just before me, they didn't really have like someone who was, I don't know, like confident in like IGLing. So it's like they kind of just swapped things around, and the coaches were like moving people around. But I'm like, I think when I joined, I was like, no, we should do it this way. Like I still like I work with the coaches, but I'm like, I think we're kind of having a big issue here when we're not having like when I was playing, we had Zeta on Sentinels. I'm like, I don't think that makes sense. This guy's like one of the best Sovas in NA, and we'll just put Leaf just to run in and then have Zeppa follow him, and then I don't know, Mitch on Sentinels, and I think that's how it's been, and that's probably how it'll be going forward.
Are you still on Smokes?
I think it's just I think it's just a lot more like they were like a lack of direction, I guess. Like none of them really were like giving their like maybe they gave opinions, but I think maybe they weren't like strong opinions, right? Whereas I'm like, okay, no, I think we should do it this way, and then me and the coaches will talk about it, and then we ended up on the rules we've ended up on.
I mean, do you think there's sort of like a big difference with the coaching structure that there is at Cloud9 and V1? Obviously,
no. I mean, obviously there's 2 of them, but I don't think there's like a difference. No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then. I mean, you're basically moving into the same role then, pretty much, because I know some teams have players
coaches,
that like...
there's absolutely no way for anyone outside of the team to know how good a coach is. Literally zero way. Yeah. Anyone that judges a coach that isn't a pro is pretty stupid, to be honest.
Well, I mean, it's because you need to sort of play under them, right, to understand how they...
It's like the same, it's like another way to like describe it is like... take you have a team like Furia, maybe, right? Like the players like to play pretty like in I guess in Valorant too it works, but like in Counter-Strike they have Gehi, and then they have players who like to play aggressive. He fits that style. If you put like Zonic on that team, he's probably one of the best coaches in the world, but like if you give him players that don't fit the way that he envisions the game, it probably isn't going to work as well. It's like coach has to match the system that the IGL wants to play, or at least like they have to meet in like a middle ground. So it's like it's really hard to like quantify how good an IGL or like a coach is unless you've actually played like under them, because they need players that believe in the system that they want to play along with an IGL. It's like it's really hard to like achieve really high levels of success as a coach if like you have people that just don't believe in like what you're saying. It's the same thing as like being an IGL. It's pretty I don't know how to like describe it, but yeah, it's like it's really really hard for people to like judge coaches, and I really think it's like dumb when they do, to be honest, because like sometimes you just have people that just won't listen to you. You could be like the best coach in the world and just people don't listen to you.
Have you ever experienced that personally, where you've had players or coaches that just decided, "Now, fuck this guy, I'm not going to listen to him," and just done their own thing?
No, I think on United we had Mix and we had A2Z as our coaches, but I don't think we listened to Mix as much as we should have. But I think that was like the only one. I think Mix is pretty smart. But yeah, I think it's because he came in as like an analyst, and I think it's harder for people to like try to fully like listen to an analyst, right? But yeah, I think that's like the only time.
Yeah, I think like another thing a lot of people were talking to me about when we were going through this whole you joining Cloud9 thing. Quite a few people were telling me that Cloud9 wanted to set up like an academy roster, right? An academy Valorant team. And I think one of your coaches has announced that he's like looking for a coach or whatever.
Our GM, yeah.
Yeah, that's it for the academy roster. Do you think we'll see a world where one of your players that you're replacing, obviously that will be on the bench, will go to that academy roster?
I have no clue.
I think it's like I think there's this sort of thing where people just presume that if you don't have like a player that isn't playing, he's just like sitting there being useless, right? So a lot of people have said to me like, oh, why doesn't whoever you're replacing will sit on the bench, instead of just going to the academy team and playing for them, so yeah, I can understand like the question surrounding it, but I think another thing when people talk about academy rosters is the fact that they cannot play in VCT events. Obviously, these are the biggest events of the year. There aren't that many of them. So, well, when you compare it to like CS, for example. So, do you think having an academy team is a very positive move, or do you think there are certain drawbacks?
I feel like a lot of the people that sign to academy teams, like, I don't know. It's hard to. I don't think they believe they can go like full professional. A lot of them, because, I mean, unless you're in like I don't know the situations obviously, but like I think some of these academy teams, it's like I don't know if the people fully believe they can go pro, because you're limiting like your level of competition, unless you need like the income, which is completely reasonable. Like it makes sense, but I think you limit like the eyes that can be on you too much, because you will never play like a tier 1 team in like these smaller tourneys, maybe like once, like maybe like if you're lucky, I guess, like, but you'll never get like the eyes on you that you need to be on you to like move up. And then but the way that I've heard buyouts are working in Valorant, it's like these people are never going to get bought out by an organization. So it's like I don't know, it's weird. Maybe like it's I don't know. It's weird. I'm not completely sure I like the idea of them yet. I think in League it's different, because like there's like an entire franchise, like right? There's an entire system, like they play each other. But it's like as of now, I think it might be, maybe if there's more of them, there could be like some like they'll be competing against each other, and that'll be good. But I think as of now, I'm not like really a big fan of it. But who knows? Like it could change in the future for sure.
Well, I mean, that is one thing that is very different about League and Valorant. Obviously, League has this sort of pseudo franchise system. In NA, where you've got academy teams going up against each other. Obviously, they Riot broadcasts it and that kind of stuff. Do you think that would be like a positive move if Riot was to sort of kind of franchise it a little bit, like how they've done with like the LCS?
I think franchising is good. I think franchising is really good. I think anyone like say there's 100 spots, right? Like 10 teams. I don't know that's how many's in the LCS, right? Is it 10?
Something like that.
I think it's 10 teams and there's 10 academy teams. It's 100 spots. If you're not in the top 100 players in your region, I really don't think you deserve to get paid. Like the levels of money these people get. Like if you can't prove your worth to like the top 100, I just don't see it. Like you're a top 20 player in your or top 10 player in your role, top 20 actually. Like you really deserve to get paid, or you just want to get paid for like nothing, right? Like you're not working for anything.
I think the major criticism to a franchise system would be that the players that didn't get picked don't really have a platform to prove that they should get picked in the future, right? And this is where people like say that sort of like it's not the best for like picking up the newest talent that maybe didn't get involved with academy.
I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Like you can just look at the LCS, right? Like
there's
rookies, like the complete, like you look back like 4 years, like the entire like region is different.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like these people just like to, I don't know, it's just like excuses like for the reason they like won't get picked up. It's like, dude, just prove you're good enough.
Yeah.
Like that's really all it is. Like you'll still, I'm pretty sure the LCS teams don't only stream against LCS teams. Like there's lower level teams they stream against. Like prove you're good enough, you'll get tryouts. That's just how it works. It's like how like you get tryouts for LCS academy teams if you're really good at solo queue or something. I think it's a lot of how it goes in the league. It's like prove you're good at the game, you will get tryouts. It's just these people like want to get given success before they've even like attempted to put any amount of like effort in.
Well, I think that's actually a really good point that you mentioned there regarding solo queuing ranked in League, for example, right? Just solo queue in League, right? It's a very structured system where, you know, you could eventually get the highest rank in the game, and that's seen as like a good symbol, you know, getting Challenger, right? Like, if you get Challenger, you're like you're considered a good player, you know, like it's not really a question. Whereas I feel like in Valorant, if you get Radiant or Immortal or whatever, it's like you're just sort of, you know, like how do we know you're the best, you know? It's I feel like it's a very difficult way of gauging how good a player actually is.
No, the pros still think people in Challenger are horrible.
Really?
Yeah, no. If you watch like League solo queue streams, they're not. It's the same thing. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but I think people just don't want to like admit that others are good a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like obviously it's a solo queue game. Like it's not the same thing as like a team game. Like no one should ever like believe it is, but it's like people just don't want to admit that others are good a lot of the time. I feel like it comes down to like the low self-confidence, right?
Well, I mean, it comes back to what we were talking about before, right? With you know,
it completely ties back into that. It's like if you don't completely believe like you belong there, then you're gonna like try to put other people down so they can't get there, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, especially in journalism, that happens a lot as well.
It makes sense, right?
Like, I'm sure in your profession as well, there's just been, and in mine, there's people that just talk down on you, even though they may be in a different situation than you are, and yet you will eventually surpass them, right? It's just, you know, it's just getting over that initial barrier, right? But
I think like a ranked ladder is always going to suck. Like, it's never going to be the same thing as like playing a match or like anything related to a team. But ranked is like a good indicator a lot of the time for like how good someone can be. Who knows if they'll ever become that good? But like, it's a better indicator than people like to give it off of as. And I think the longer the game is out, the more people will respect the leaderboard, I guess. Right?
Yeah, we also have players that fade away, right? You know, the players that stay there, you know,
those are the people that are consistently in the top of the leaderboard. They're probably pretty good at the game.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
But like the people that are just sometimes there, you can have your doubts about them. But it's like, I think Tig has been probably top 20 Radiant since I switched to this game. And he's now on LG, and I think he's probably one of the most underrated players.
I think he's sick
in NA.
I think he's really good.
But he's really good. But yeah, it's just like this guy's always been good at ranked. He's obviously proved his worth on a pro team. It's like maybe these people will stop making excuses and just play the game instead of, you know, crying why they're not pro. That makes too much sense, I guess.
Do you think
just complain, guys?
No. I think that does actually happen quite often when I was, you know, now that I'm sort of recollecting, like when I first started like Valorant journalism and stuff, speaking to pros. quite a few of them have this sort of complacent attitude when it comes to ranked and playing and scrimming. Would you say that there are quite a few pros out there, or maybe not even pros, but there are quite a few players that you think could make that jump to professional
there's
play?
A ton. No, there's a lot.
Yeah.
No, I don't think.
Quite a few.
I think the biggest thing. I think most of them though, like the issue is they're duelist players.
Yeah.
I don't think there's very many players that aren't. Like I think one of them might be like. I think Larry Banks is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of those teal team guys are. I think their IGL is really good. Glyph.
Glyph.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was watching some stuff with his comms in it, and he has really good comms, and it seems like he has a pretty good idea of how he wants to play the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of people that definitely could compete at a tier 1 level consistently, but it's just hard to get it. Like, it's not like easy to get a chance in the current format. But it's not impossible, right? Like there's a lot of chance to showcase how good you are, and I think that, I mean, you see if you compare the teams a year ago to the teams now, they can look completely different because people have proven they're good and they move up, right? Zekken is a pretty good example. This guy was just dominating tier 2, and then he gets picked up by Xset, and he's one of probably their second best player in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he sort of has the perfect sort of romantic story, I guess, if you will. He came from basically nothing, obviously, then joined Noble, and now he's he's on Exit, right? So I mean, he's
there's a decent amount of players like that in this game too. It's these people just want to make excuses instead of actually putting in work and trying to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, right? Because I'm sure quite a few of them have just been complacent, right? They've probably tried to go pro.
No, they just complain about ranked. Dude,
yeah,
ranked
exactly.
is so bad.
Yeah.
I hate ranked. It's dude, I don't know. It's just odd to me.
Yeah. I mean,
it's ranked isn't supposed to be oh, it's so fun. It's just like Team Valorant. No, it's just so you play the game and you get used to it. The mechanics, everyone is so new to this game, even though it's been on a year and a half at this point. Maybe
well, I mean, it depends if you count the beta, right? Because the beta was a while, so
yeah.
I guess
but
the official release was a year and a half ago. So
yeah, it's these people, instead of just playing the game, they just like to complain about it and then wonder why they're not progressing anywhere. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, they always say that the people that just complain about stuff and never actually get anything done, will always be that way, right? So.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to sort of ask you more about the state of Valorant as a whole, right? And I think a lot of people have had very strong opinions when it comes to stuff like format, especially for these massive events, like Berlin and Reykjavik, for example. There are completely different formats going on, and Champions, I don't even know what that format's going to be.
It'll probably be the same as whatever's happening now.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be the same.
It's 16 teams. It'll probably be the same.
Yeah. So if we say that it will be sort of the same format, let's just presume it is. Do you think that would be sort of a good indication of sort of determining the best team? Do you think it's a good format?
Yeah. No, I think this is the best format you can have, honestly. I think maybe. I don't think you can really make a better format than this, to be honest. Obviously, having 4 teams in the other group would be good, but that's out of control. But yeah, I don't think you can really make a better format.
And I think this was one point of contention in CS, right? Because I know plenty of events had different formats. I'm sure if I can remember, I think Flashpoint had a different format, and then there was ESL had a different one.
Towards the end, they were all pretty similar.
Yeah, and I think they were all sort of settling on this sort of weird. I think it was was it a group stage and then into playoffs?
GSL.
Yeah, GSL. That's it. Yeah. So
it's the same thing that this tournament season.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the only way you could make it better, I guess, is I don't like lower brackets, but I guess you could add a lower bracket, but I don't know. It could be cool, but I also think it just adds too many days to the tournament.
Yeah, I think that's just I don't know.
It's not even I just think it's too much time. You're there. I guess you'd have to spread out the matches more because I think you'd have to be there for however long the LCS players were in Iceland for, 3 weeks, maybe a month. But you would need 3 weeks, I think, to run a double elimination. You'd run GSL into double elimination.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the format now. Single LM playoffs. I mean, it sucks, I guess, but it is not the worst. It's a lot better than what it could be. It's a lot better than what Iceland was, in my opinion. Like, random seeding brackets is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
like it does. Like, there's no way you can seed a 10-team tournament.
Yeah, it is pretty impossible.
In a week, right?
Yeah,
like, you have to play a double in bracket. Like, you're not playing groups; it's too long.
Yeah.
Especially with like the time restraint on matches. Like, you can only play 3 matches a day. It's like they did what the best with what they could have. But yeah, I think the format's good.
Yeah.
I mean, double elimination would be nice, but maybe it adds too much time to the tournaments, which isn't always the best thing. But I guess with how infrequent they are, it could be good, because like in CS, if you had to stay at like a tournament for like 3 weeks, you would definitely be flying to another tournament instantly after, which is an issue.
Yeah.
But in this game, I don't think it's an issue, so maybe it could be good to run like a double elimination towards in the future.
Well,
I think the LCS playoffs is double elimination, right?
Sorry?
I think the LCS playoffs is double elimination.
Yeah, I think LCS playoffs is double elim. I think the same with like the LEC, where they have
all the
double
league.
elim, like,
I'm pretty
the
sure.
entire...
Yeah, I think it could be cool.
Yeah.
I do think something that should happen is Riot should standardize the formats for Masters.
Yeah.
Or not Masters, like challengers, because I think Korea was single elim.
Yeah, Korea was really weird.
Korea was like a group stage into like a single elim.
It was it was
very
I think
odd.
it was a qualifier into a group stage into like a single
into another
elim.
group stage.
Yeah, it was so weird. I didn't even understand it, but like every region has like a different format, and it's really confusing.
I think that's a pretty big issue.
Yeah.
At least the playoff bracket should be the same. Maybe the way you get there, it doesn't matter as much. I think it should be standardized, but I think that at least the playoff bracket, like, there should be like a bare minimum. Like, it needs to be best of 3s. It needs to be, I think, double elim for qualifying like this. But given that it's all mostly, I guess Korea played on land, so maybe it's different. But I do think it should be double elim.
Yeah.
For the qualifying matches, at least.
Yeah, 100%. I think. What do you think, like, about, obviously, because you came from CS and, you know, you'll have a good opinion on this, what do you think we should avoid as an esport when sort of compared to CS? What's, like, one major thing that you would say that happened in CS that you don't want to happen in Valorant?
I think oversaturation. I remember there was one time we flew back from ESL Pro League, and we asked ECS, which was Face It, to move our match back, like, 2 hours so our players could land and like get home. Like, we still would have landed, drove home, and had no time to play it, like, or to warm up or anything. Just had to play, and they just refused. Just because, yeah, no, it's actually like, I don't think it'll happen because it's Riot, but like the fact that these tournament organizers just refuse to cooperate with each other is just embarrassing. Yeah. Like, they overlap tournaments on purpose. Like, they actually do it on purpose. Yeah, like, 100%.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's pathetic.
Yeah, well, it's like I always sort of thought it was just basically a pissing contest between like ESL and Face It and all these other.
No, like, the best part is though, like, ESL and DreamHack are the same company, and even ESL and DreamHack would.
Yeah, so literally own. I know
you're owned by the same company, and you're still gonna make us choose between. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I know, it's actually stupid.
It was worse with ESL and ECS because they would actually overlap on purpose.
Yeah,
like, 100%. There's no way it wasn't, because like one of them would release their format and their schedule, and then the other one would release it. Like, they would alter theirs to match it pretty much on like the days. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds fucking awful in my opinion, but you know, it's just the way it goes, I guess. But like more recently, I think it's sort of flatlined a bit ever since like what was it? The ESL Pro Tour came in like 2 years ago or something like that. But even then, that killed NA teams, right? So
yeah, where you take away like 6 pro teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And NA at least.
I thought it was fucking outrageous.
That's what killed NACS. Anyone that thinks it was anything else is wrong. Like, actually just wrong. COVID didn't kill it. Nothing else. ESL taking pro league spots killed NACS. COVID expedited it, but ESL killed it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, who would have thought that like an actual tournament organizer would have that much power over like an entire scene, right? Like, it's actually insane. Because when you think about it, right, like NACS as a whole has been dominated by like ESEA, ESL, and DreamHack and all these kinds of different tournament organizers. But just for ESL being the major one to just cut like slots, like they just actually don't give a fuck.
Yeah, with no communication to the teams.
Yeah, I know. Like, they didn't even tell anyone.
Zero. Yeah, no,
it's
it's pretty
actually
cool.
Awful. It's terrible, and I think they were never held accountable. So it's whatever. Everyone just was just like, yeah, fuck it, let's just go to you know, go to Valorant, I guess.
Yeah, and then the CSPPA is like, why should we care about the NA teams? Okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember that now.
Jay,
yeah,
Jay saying, why should we care about the NA teams?
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, okay.
Oh
Cool.
my god, I remember that so well because I replied to his tweet and I got like so much fucking. I ratioed the fuck out of it. But he was like, why should we care about like players that aren't on the board or something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
stupid.
fucking outrageous. I actually.
The funny part
ridiculous.
is we were in the CSPPA.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's actually insane.
And then I texted the group chat and we had some interesting conversations.
That's insane. I mean, what did they say to you? Did they actually like try and like rectify it or give any sort of justification or anything?
He never replied. Other people replied. One of the the German dudes that lost their pro spot, Sprout or whatever, was also pretty mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would be as well. I mean, that's actually fucked. I thought it was stupid. But yeah, like it's just what CS has become, right? But obviously now we're onto like greener pastures with Valorant. I think it's definitely growing very well. I think you would probably agree that the esport as a whole is very healthy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, obviously there's some areas it could get improved on, but I think for the most part it's a pretty healthy ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Riot, I think, have allocated a very new team. And I think this is the thing with at Berlin, for example, when there's been quite a few issues about like tech issues and like mic issues and volume issues and all that kind of stuff, transport issues as well. Like all of this can be boiled down to the fact that it's just a new team, right? Like and it's new members of staff, and I don't know if you experienced this at Reykjavik, where it was sort of not unprofessional, but it was not an ESL way of handling it, for example, like where you've got these guys that have been in the game for like 20 years and know exactly what they're doing.
We didn't have many issues at Reykjavik, I don't think, apart from the PC sucking, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't think that was like I think it would just be hard to get new PCs for like both games there, because it's just an island, right? Like it might be like, I don't know. Obviously, I have no clue how logistics work at all, but I just don't think it like made sense for them to do it.
Yeah,
I think at this event it's kind of embarrassing that they didn't fix the issue, but I mean, I don't know. It's not like the end of the world that the PCs aren't the same, because we also like most pros do play on like supercomputers at home.
Yeah, but I mean, I had this discussion, I think, when I was talking about how lower tier teams, for example, from like Brazil or other regions where they might not have like these really insane PCs, they already sort of are at like a disadvantage, I guess, if this happens and they don't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah.
But I guess there really is nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's hard to like. I don't know. I also like don't know how sponsorships work. Like, I don't know if Riot's partnered with Intel. Like, is that why they have Intel PCs?
No, I think they were using Alienware PCs at Berlin. Okay. So
yeah. But it's the same thing. It's like I think the LCS is partnered with Intel, so it's like they probably have to use Intel PCs or Intel processors. So it's like you can't use like what works the best with Valorant. So obviously the performance is gonna be the same. It sucks, but like.
There's nothing you can do, right? So
the only reason we can do what we do is because of sponsorships, right? Like,
exactly.
You can't not really gonna complain. I mean, yeah, it's kind of annoying, like some of the like logistical stuff that happens. Obviously, you don't want it to happen, but it's gonna happen until there's more of like a consistent process with it. Like they know what to provide and all of that. But I don't know. I think that's a pretty good job so far. I mean, obviously, there's going to be like bad parts, good parts, but I do think you hit the nail on the head pretty good with like it's a new team, so like they don't completely understand like the intricacies of like FPS games.
Yeah, I think that's really important to note that this is like a lot of people have like given Riot hate for it, but it's like I'm not one to actually back up Riot in any situation. Like I've reported on the fucking like CEO supposedly being a creep, but it's like this kind of shit just happens. But where the community, I think the community like really have had some serious backlash against Riot, where it was like it's just completely unacceptable, which it is. Like I can understand like your frustration.
I'm not a fan of. I don't know if these people ever brought it up to Riot but like this message, like, dude, we have a Discord with all of like the staff,
Yeah.
all of the devs. It's like, dude, just message them, say some like, just ask questions. I think that's a big issue. I feel like people, not even like regarding Riot exactly, but I feel like people like in esports in general are just afraid to ask for things that they want or that they need. I think it's a big thing that I've experienced on like my past teams. It's like they're just like, dude, like I don't like how the org's doing this. Like, dude, okay, have you talked to them? No. It's like, okay, then how do you expect anything to get fixed? Just, I don't know if like I'm not sure if that's the case in Berlin, but it's like, dude, just like how are you gonna fix anything if you don't ask anything?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. Some teams just don't really bother, but then others sort of, I guess, just don't really get responses from what I can tell anyway. But it's it's whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think another thing I wanted to bring up, obviously, I know you are very close with quite a few of these players, and please feel free to, like, if you don't want to talk about any of this this stuff, just let me know. But I think Riot have been independently handling the match fixing stuff, and I wanted to get your opinion on how I think ESIC have handled it, where they've come in as this organization, right, where they said they were going to make these like massive changes.
It's like the biggest joke.
It's like I have no idea what is going on with them, because it's
I don't even think they know what's going on, to be honest. Like I feel like this guy went on another stream and said, "Oh, it'll be out in the next week." Okay, you said that like 6 months ago, dude.
Yeah, it's actually like, ridiculous.
I don't understand. Like, don't come into public until you actually have the report ready, right? Like, I feel like there's too many things that can happen there's too many things that can happen to like affect it, right? Like, until you have it on like your desktop, desk, whatever, with all of like the actual like substantial like information, there's no reason to bring it public. You're just gonna get people like, I don't even like,
just like riled up really for like no reason.
Yeah, riled up. I think it's like until you have everything you need, there's no reason to bring it public.
Yeah,
it's just like it's gonna cause like false hope, I guess.
I thought something that was really egregious, which you basically just mentioned, like with false hope. They said that there was like a list of like 30 or something players that they were investigating.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know some of the names. I know some of the names, but it's like, you can say that you're investigating them, but you're not telling us who they are. We just have to go through the grapevine and just presume it's these guys that are being investigated. And it's just like, I think it's ridiculous how...
No, I think it's handled pretty poorly.
Yeah,
like,
it has been
an organization that claims to be as professional as they are.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think the issue is manpower, right? Like, I genuinely believe they just don't have the reach and the staff to like facilitate any of what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah, I have no clue like how the ESIC is ran or any of that, but it's like I feel like they overpromise and underdeliver. Where I feel like it should usually be the other way around. You like underpromise, overdeliver. It makes you, I don't know. I think just a lot more like positively received.
Yeah. I think, and like, finally, if some of the names that I'm sure you're aware of that, let's say
anything will happen.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, let's say...
I don't think anything will happen.
Yeah.
At all.
You don't think honestly, no. I don't think anything will happen either.
I think at the most, the people will have to pay the taxes on the money that they received.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would be surprised if legal action is taken. Maybe it is. But I think there's too many, like, unless they have like hard proof, right? Like 100%, like this. But I think a lot of it'll be like they have to pay the taxes on the money they earned.
Well, the problem is, because
I think that's how it was handled in Australia. The people got banned from the game, but I think they also had to pay like fines, which I think will probably be pretty similar to what happens in NA if it ever comes out.
Well, I think it's just because like they need that sort of extra bit of information to like confirm everything, but other than that, there's just like a list of names that I think will basically never get released, and we'll just sort of have to go from there, right?
Yeah,
but
I mean, maybe it happens. Maybe people get banned. Maybe they have like actual like implications, but I don't think so. No.
Well, I mean, do you think if the names come out that those guys will actually face repercussions in Valorant?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a lot of it you can I don't know. It's like people will just play like the card like they were young, right? Like they needed
Yeah,
money.
just the
Like
standard.
that's all they're gonna do. It's
Yeah,
like
make it twit longer, guys. Sorry, I'm sorry. You know,
like everyone.
I was
everyone
18
just,
years
like,
old. You know,
everyone just pretends they care. No one actually cares.
yeah. I think
I think that's like the biggest thing is like no one. I like most people don't actually care. They just like want to pretend like they care, right?
yeah. Well, it's just like it's just a massive integrity thing, right? And I think people like me, like journalists, we can like shout about it for years and nothing will happen. So you know, it's basically just pointless at this point. But yeah, I'll probably just wait for like a reporter to release all the names and then it will just go from there. To be honest, because at this point, I don't think anything's basically ever going to happen.
But I also like I think you touched on integrity issues, but
yeah,
I think you wouldn't have to worry. Like obviously, these people were doing it for money because they probably don't have money, right?
yeah,
But when you're like a salaried pro on a team competing, it's not the same thing. So like the integrity issues shouldn't be there. Maybe they are, but I really don't think that someone that threw an MDL when they gave up on their like I think it's really fucked morally. But like someone that threw an MDL when they gave up on their career, they knew they weren't gonna make anything, so like they should get money from it. I mean, it sucks. It's not right, but it's a lot different than someone like thinking that people are gonna throw when they're salaried professionals.
Well, let's say you were in charge, and let's say you were at the head of Riot, right? You were Alex Francois or whatever his name is. He's the head of like global, like competitive Valorant or whatever. Let's say you were him, and you knew of these players that were actually playing Valorant competitively to a high level, some of which are on tier 1 teams. Would you actually take action against these guys? Would you ban them?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just like I don't know how to describe it, but
Well, it's difficult, right? Because
I think it's hard. Like I don't think it's black and white. Like maybe some cases yes, but maybe some cases no. Like I think you would have to completely like go into every case like individually. Like I don't think you could like mass ban them because what if someone threw like one match and made like $800 versus someone that threw like 40 matches and made like $100,000?
Exactly,
it's completely different. Like it's not black and white. Like you don't ban them all, you don't not ban them all. I don't know if that's the approach Riot's going to take, but that's how like I would approach it. It's like it needs to be case by case, which would take a lot of time. I think maybe not a lot, but like this like the severity of it.
Yeah, I mean it will probably take quite a while for them to get through everyone. I don't know, well, because it's just a matter of evidence, right? Like getting hard evidence when it comes to betting is practically impossible.
It's really hard, especially if these people did it with like cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah, it was mostly crypto that they were dealing with, right? So you know you have to trace the address and then trace that to the person. It's fucked. But you know, unless there's some sort of outside syndicate, which there likely is.
No, there is. There's people that are involved in match fixing in NA that no one has ever brought up, but they probably made like millions of dollars. Like no joke.
Yeah, of course. I think there
like
are
the people that
few,
organize it. It's the people that organize it all that. Will
like the connection between the player and the
it's the people that organize it that have the money that will never get brought up. The players are the ones that'll. I mean, obviously, you probably should be punished, but it's like.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like influencing them, right? Like most of them were quite young when they did this, right?
Yeah,
so,
no, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, it's actually quite disgusting. They were just
young and vulnerable, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, like
you're not salaried. You're probably like needing money for.
Yeah, I mean, if you were young and you got offered this kind of shit and you were just playing an MDL with.
Yeah, instead of working at like a grocery store or
something, you
can make $1,000 for losing one game.
Exactly.
Or not. You don't even like. I don't even think a lot of them bet to lose. They bet on like rounds.
Yeah, they bet on like very specific instances in the match. Yeah.
So it's like, can I work at a grocery store for 40 hours a week, or do I want to win a game 16-12 and make $2,000? Like, I mean, I don't agree with it. I wouldn't do it, but like, I can understand why people would do it. Like, if you're in like a hard financial position.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, right? But like, I think for Valorant, I think we don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff. Well, maybe like in the future, but I don't think I've ever heard of any of that kind of stuff happening in Valorant. Maybe people tried.
I think it's hard,
but it would be really hard because you know it's just very difficult, I guess, because it's quite hard to bet on Valorant matches as it is right now. But yeah, so I don't really know what's going on in that situation. But I think another one I wanted to bring up Obviously, I know it's a very like sensitive topic, and I know you might have some sort of personal relationship with this guy, but the Sinatra situation, obviously, it's been going on for quite a while, and I think there's a lot of like different opinions on it. And I won't ask you for your opinion because I know all of this stuff will like people will have some sort of horrible thing to say no matter what, right? We can say he's like an evil person or a great person, then people will call us fucking morons either way, right? But if you was sort of in control of what Sinatra would do next, what do you think would be the best move for him, considering everything that's happened? Like, how would you go about dealing with a situation that he's dealing with right now? How would you sort of go about dealing with that? Especially when we live in this sort of environment where people will always look at you and they will always overanalyze you no matter what you did or what you've done. And you will be faced with backlash no matter where you go, right? So what would you do in that instance?
I think you just have to do something. I don't think it matters what.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think he probably knows that whatever he does is going to receive backlash, like you said, right? So it's just do what he thinks is best. He's gonna get literally anywhere he goes, whatever he does, he will get hate.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's for the rest of his career, no matter what.
No, yeah,
so
100%. So it's like he just needs to do what he thinks is best for him.
But
I know there's a lot of teams that want him.
Yeah, so, I agree. I mean,
these people are saying like, he'll never get on a team. It's like, no,
that's ridiculous.
That's not true. No, this guy was probably the best Valorant player in NA.
I know. It's actually people forget how good Sinatra was actually.
I never played against him once, but I looked at his stats on stream once, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. He was sick. I mean, he was a sick player.
Yeah, but like, I mean, we're gonna hate him. We're gonna like his public image will be like tainted, I guess. But, I mean, I feel like it's not the best thing, but it's like I feel like there's probably like professional sports players that also have tainted public images, and
of course we have like literal like murderers like that are football players in England. I know there's that one guy, I can't remember his name, but like we have one guy who like murdered a woman or something, and he's just allowed to play. So like I don't know, it's just
I mean, you don't agree with it, but it's like it's just, dude, the world sucks. Like,
it does.
The world is literally so fucked.
I know.
But it's like, I don't know. I mean, he just needs to do what's best for him, right? Like, if he wants to play on a team, join a team. But I also don't think there's a lot of teams that he would join from like a competitive point of view, because they're not going to be up to his like par. And I don't know if he's going to take that into account or if he just wants to compete.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is that no matter what team he joins, there will immediately always be backlash no matter what. It's just whether the team would actually be willing to risk that.
But I also think you have to take into account he has a really big brand.
Yeah,
like,
he's
apart
huge.
from like all of this, it's like you're gonna get backlash, but you're also gonna get the Sinatra fans. So it's like,
and there's thousands of those. Like there's actually loads. So. No matter what he did, like he could literally kill somebody and people would still follow
on
him.
stream.
Like actually murder someone.
Good.
That's fine. All good. Yeah. We'll just don't worry about it, guys. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He's just gonna. I think he'll come back and compete. I didn't realize how good he was because I don't think I ever played against him like once.
Yeah.
Because it happened pretty.
I mean, he was basically tens before tens, right? Like
No, yeah, I was looking at his stats. He plays Sova and Raze, and he has like the most insane clutch rate. Like people call Hiko like the king of the clutch, but this guy's clutch rate is like 20% higher.
Yeah, he's actually sick. He was really good.
But yeah, I mean, it sucks. But like for him, right? Like it sucks that like, I mean, yeah, he did something that's pretty fucked. But I mean, he's gonna have to deal with it now. But I don't think it's like the end of the world like people make it out to be. Because I think there's a lot worse people that walk around on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably Valorant professionals that have actually committed some terrible things that are probably playing right now, right? So, who knows, right?
His name is going to be tainted, but it's like...
It will be, yeah. It will be. And that I guess that's just something that... Like, he'll just have to
learn to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Have to live with the consequences.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I feel like that's like another thing, right? Because you will have the fans on your side, no matter what. But there will always be
people that'll absolutely hate your brand.
Yeah. There will always be people out there that some of which might actually just want you dead, like straight up. Like it's actually so like harsh the way people are treated, no matter what.
No, I can
because
agree.
it's like so easy to do behind a screen, right? You can tell somebody to actually just kill themselves if
No,
you're
yeah,
like behind a screen, right? So
yeah. No, I think it's yeah. I mean, I think he seems to. I mean, I don't know. I don't know him at all. Like, I think I've talked to him like twice.
yeah,
But I don't know. I think he'll just come back and compete on a team at some point. I don't know when it'll be, but people that said there's no interest, dude, like I think every team wants him.
yeah, I
literally,
know.
like every team in NA.
Honestly, I think
Like literally, like every team in NA.
I legit like someone messaged me. I think it was honestly. I think every single tier 1 team is like somewhat interested in him, or like has inquired in any way, shape, or form. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, 100%.
you know, maybe that doesn't lead to them signing him. Most likely, they won't sign him.
Yeah, it probably doesn't mean anything, but there's
yeah, but like there is interest there. But you know, it's like I also made that tweet. The TSM's not going to sign Sinatra. Like the amount of people that I had asking me whether TSM is going to sign Sinatra was unreal. But you know, it's just one of those things, right? So. You know, whatever happens, right? I guess we just sort of have to move forward no matter what. Whether Riot will do something about it, I don't know. But
I mean, I think they already did the punishment.
Yeah,
right?
So I think they're just going to step back at this point. So
yeah, I think
well, we'll just wait and see, right? I think.
But yeah,
we will just.
I didn't know how good he was until I looked at his stats. It was absurd.
He was a really good player. Like he was really, really talented. And he obviously he still is. You know, he still plays the game, right? So. I think if he does come back, then it'll probably be on a tier 1 team. Whether, you know, like I had people telling me that like FaZe like was a option, but like I don't think FaZe is an option either. I don't think FaZe are interested anymore.
I think the thing with him is I don't think he's gonna join a team that isn't like completely capable of competing at like the top of NA.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not very many of those teams, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's like he might just be a streamer for a really long time.
Yeah.
Or he might never come back.
Yeah.
But it's
I mean, he might just wait, right? Like, I don't blame him for just waiting.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think like teams will stop being interested, even if he doesn't compete for a while, just because how good he was. Like, he would at least get like tryouts or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he'll just come back and compete at some point, whenever that is.
Yeah, I think. Like the next, I mean, maybe you could come back for like the next roster shuffle. I don't know when what your timeline for the next big roster shuffle will be. But
after the LCQ. Probably.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say.
But I also think people don't, like I touched on it earlier. People don't realize how like, dude, buyouts in this game are stupid.
Yeah, they're really high. It's strange, right? Because you wouldn't have thought that some of these players would actually have this high of a buyout, right? But when you hear some of the names, it's like you really that is his buyout, really? Like it's so eyebrow raising to me.
I think a lot of it comes down to these orgs want to be in Valorant, and I don't think anyone knows how franchising is going to work.
Yeah.
So they want to be the best team that they can be to get into franchising and selling, like, because people are only going to want to buy your best players. So like selling your best player is obviously going to hinder your team, which would hinder your chance at getting into franchising if it ever happens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I think that's a lot of the reason why the buyouts are so high. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a bit of a shame, really, because, you know, especially like agents as well. I know agents are like asking for these ridiculous buyouts, and, you know, I know contracts are a bit difficult as well. Like, I don't know, it's weird. You know, from speaking to like agencies when they were saying like, oh, we can't get this guy because his buyout is so high, or we can't even approach this guy because of the way that the organization has like valued him, right? So, it is kind of fucked. But I think after LCQ, I think there's going to be loads of teams changing, and I know you probably feel the same way. You know,
I could agree.
Yeah, we've already had teams change like already. You know, T1 for example, making some serious changes. TSM.
I don't think you'll see any of the teams in the LCQ shuffle prior, but obviously the teams outside of it will. And then after the LCQ, I think teams will shuffle.
Yeah, I think Is that when like the majority of like contracts expire as well? I think it's like towards the end of the year, maybe.
I have no clue. I think contracts are pretty random. I think they're pretty.
Yeah, I think
across the board.
Yeah, I think obviously people signed at different times, and it's weird like that. But I think after LCQ, obviously getting towards the end of the year, if you didn't qualify for champions, because there's only one slot right from LCQ. So, it will be really really hard. And where did you say you placed in that? Were you seventh? So you did qualify for LCQ.
Clue. We're in it like somewhere.
That, yeah. Well, I mean, what do you think? Do you think you're actually going to qualify through that?
I think we have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you said you were dominating in scrims, right? So we'll see if it actually happened. I mean, it's on LAN, right?
Yeah,
it is on LAN. So, I mean, that'd be sick to see. Because I don't think we've had like this. It kind of feels like a CS event where you've got like all of these major like North American teams in one place. Because we don't really have that for international events. There's only like two or three NA teams. So it's actually going to be really sick to see. Excuse me. Hopefully we can have more LCQs like that. Like I genuinely think I'm more like excited to watch LCQ than I am like some matches at Berlin. So
like this one on right now, I have no interest in.
Yeah, like right now I think it's like Zeta Crew or something like that, and like I genuinely couldn't care less what happens at this match. Like we're just. I mean, after this recording, we're gonna watch the Sentinels G2 game.
Yeah.
So like, obviously, we're all gonna be excited for that, but like, there are just like pointless matches,
I mean, it's just like they're only big for like the regions.
Yeah.
Right. Like a lot of the time.
Yeah. But then
like,
it's
the only
just
reason
not
I
big
watch
for
most
us,
of the NA matches is because I like the players.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but yeah, I think it's. I don't know.
Yeah, you can eye up the competition as well. So yeah, I think one final note that I wanted to sort of touch on is about players and how they are sort of treated by the community. I think as a whole, it seems somewhat positive, but then there is that sort of small group of individuals that consistently harass and hate professional Valorant players. And I'm sure I think we even spoke about one guy like in DMs before, like
CS:GO for Dummies guy.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's just
not a normal human.
Every single tweet is legit just a hate tweet. Like it's actually insane.
He's actually just one of the most interesting humans I've seen on the internet.
Yeah, I know, because it's like these. I actually forget that some of these people are sentient like beings that actually have brains to communicate.
No, like they're real humans. It's weird.
They're
not like AIs.
I know.
By, like someone.
It's actually insane. But yeah, so like, would you say that there is like an overwhelming amount of like, what would you ratio it? Would you say that there's like quite a lot of positive messages?
I think there's more positive.
Yeah,
negative for sure.
Yeah.
At least I don't get as many like in CS. Whenever we beat like EG, Fury, MIBR, like any of the NA teams, we would get DMs, like hate DMs.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in this game it's not as abundant,
which
is nice.
Yeah, it's nice to finish a nice long day at work to, can you kill yourself, please? Like,
you open up like 10 DMs.
It's like, I lost my bet because of you. Fuck you.
Thanks.
It's great.
I think I've only gotten one of those in this game. Maybe
really?
Two.
You've only
I can remember one. I think I can remember one.
Wow. And there's another one where it's like...
They're definitely not as abundant in this game, like 100%. But I also think some of that comes down to, like, I feel like a lot of the ones in Counter-Strike were from Brazilian teams, and obviously we can't play against Brazilian teams. So.
Yeah. I actually think Brazilian teams are one of the worst from what I know. Just like not Brazilian teams, but like Brazilian fans.
They have the best fans and the worst fans.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Rio de Janeiro for DreamHack, like the people that actually showed up to LAN were like really great. They were all really nice. Like really, like honestly, like really, really nice people. They just like wanted to watch Counter-Strike, and then like the people online just
flamed them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there was that whole situation with Leaf, was it, right? Like, I can't really remember it.
Oh, that was all of us. Me, Leaf, and Zeppa.
Yeah, and everyone was like, oh, you're fucking cheating.
They called they called my coach a cheater who went like -30 in the best of 3. Like, these people lost to a coach, and they think we were cheating.
Oh my god, I actually remember that. It was amazing.
I don't understand it.
Those are good times. But yeah, I think hopefully we can get to a point where, that was another thing where I don't know if you've had this, but like other players have told me, when one individual player plays bad in like a match, then there's just like 50 DMs like, oh, you should be dropped, and then the IGL gets messages like, "Why is this guy not dropped?" or "Drop him, drop him."
I don't think I've had that.
Nah, it's just because like fans believe that they know more about the game than they should, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And
I think
it's
that makes
like
sense.
a sense of entitlement, right? So,
But it's like the same. Like I think the disconnect though is like I feel like it's the same way in sports. It's just you're a lot more connected to pro esports players.
yeah.
Because I feel like it's the same way in like professional like sports. Like people watch like their favorite football team, favorite soccer. Like someone sucks, they talk about it, they tweet about it, but people don't see it because they like don't look for it. But like in esports,
well, your whole
actively
life
on
is
social
online.
media because you have to be on social media
exactly
for the most part. Like you are also like a personality along with being a pro. Where in like sports, you're just a professional.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really important. I think it's good to note that, you know, all esports professionals are human beings as well.
Yeah, but you know, people don't like that. We're just streamers, you know.
It's streamers that can, you know,
just type in my chat. Yeah, just type in my chat, please. Say nice things, guys. Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, anyways, I really appreciate you coming on, Vanity. It's been a pleasure. You know, best of luck in LCQ. I really do hope you actually go far, and if you do, I'd love to see you in Champions. That'd be sick. You know, that'd be really cool. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. So, all right, thanks everyone for watching. Peace. All right, perfect. Good shit.